Coming up on the South Florida High School Football Show, American Heritage Plantation is firing on all cylinders. And the Chiefs of Cardinal Gibbons are also in the thick of the race. Plus, we'll preview next week's big games. All of that and more right here on the South Florida High School Football Show. Hello once again, everybody, and welcome to the South Florida High School Football Show. Joe Zagacki, Don Bailey Jr. We're at Dave & Buster's, your eat, drink, and play destination for serious football action. And we are right in the middle of the midway. It's noisy in here, it's busy in here, and soon Don Bailey's going to go play some pinball or something.
Something, Joe. Get me involved in some kind of competition, just like we're doing in Dayton-Broward County.
All right, well, before we do that, let's take a look at some of the elite teams in high school football. We'll go to Broward County. This is a very good team. They've got a chance to win their district and go deep in the playoffs. American Heritage Plantation, coached by former Dolphin Jeff Dellenbach.
Well, Joe, you know one thing, that Jeff Dellenbach knows discipline, right? He played for Coach Shula. He understands the ins and the outs and the X's and the O's. They've got a great football team. They're doing a good job maneuvering through their schedule, and they're exciting to watch as well.
They have two of Broward County's best players, the quarterback and the running back, Sony Michelle in the backfield and Tyler Cogswell, the quarterback.
Well, it's nice to see when you have that 1-2 punch at the running back and quarterback spot. The thing that the quarterback allows you to do is he allows you to use his arm when he has to, but the important thing is he can buy time with his feet. But when you can establish the running game and you have a quarterback that can deliver the ball, you have instant success because you have the play action game working for you.
Sony Michelle is another one of those great South Florida running backs. Everybody's recruiting him. He's coming off a knee injury. He's averaging double digits in terms of yards per carry.
It's nice to see that coming off an injury that's back in the saddle and getting recruited, but anytime in Dade County that you're averaging double digits in rushing, you're going to get national attention. And then you talk about the quarterback as well. He's a hot prospect nationally.
American Heritage, very good on defense. Michael Deeb, a linebacker, one of the top linebackers in the state, and they are tough on defense.
That they are, Joe. And you talk about the linebacker spot. He needs some help from that defensive line so he can run sideline to sideline. But the good thing about him is when it comes to the point of attack, when it comes to him taking on the ball carrier, he usually wins.
All right, so American Heritage Plantation, the favorite to win the district. They will get competition from Dillard and Cardinal Gibbons. And speaking of Cardinal Gibbons, the Chiefs are off to a great start. They're coached by Mike Morrill. He's been there for a long time. He understands their program, and he's putting out a great product.
Well, he is, and when you're averaging now, this is not a high, this is an average, 42 points for a ball game, you're in every single ball game. Your defense can breathe easy. You need them to kind of get you to the championship level, but when you're putting that many points on the board, there's room for error, and it's nice to see.
They have a great wide receiver, Trevon Lee. He's putting up big numbers, and when you have a wide receiver like that, you can really dominate.
Well, it makes a big difference, and that's why they're putting up those 42 points, but they're always starting fast. They've outscored their opponents. They're putting up 50 points in the first quarter. They've outscored their opponents. They're electric. They come out. They're ready to play. They're invigorated, and they're ready to go.
Now, when you're outscoring your opponent, like you said, by 50 points in the first quarter, that means you are off and running. How about trying to defend Lee? He's a guy who can score from anywhere on the field.
You know, you have to focus the whole defense around him, or you put a spy on him. You got to sacrifice one player to make sure that you know where he is at all times. And more importantly, you have to rotate that person, because as soon as you lock one person down, the offensive coordinator is going to see it, and he's going to use that against you.
All right, let's go into Miami-Dade County. Let's go way down south. Now, last weekend, South Dade and Killian went at it, an old-fashioned Southern Dade County battle. South Dade was the winner. They've got the lead in that district. South Dade plays hard-nosed football, and they've got a chance here.
Well, they do, Joe, and the main thing that they're doing is they're playing quality football. They're not making mistakes. They're playing defense that's good. They're playing solid offense. They're a well-groomed team. They work together extremely well, and special teams has been a positive part of their game as well.
Averaging 26 points a game on offense. Don, you mentioned the defense allowing just 7 points a game there, so when you're playing that kind of defense, you're going to win a lot of games.
Well, you've got that spread of 19 points in the game, but the most important thing, especially in high school, in my opinion, is your ability to play defense. So many people now, with all the 7-on-7 in the passing game, just forgive defense and they want to go right to scoring points. When you have the defense, anything is possible, and at an average of 7 points, you're looking at what? You got to score a touchdown and field goal, you can win every game.
Well, South Dade got past one obstacle. They beat Killian last week. Up next for South Dade is Palmetto. That should be a good one, but South Dade right now, they are in control. There was some great football action this past weekend. With all the highlights, here's Joe Rose.
Thanks, Joe and Don. Hey, high school football Friday nights. Are you kidding me? Let's get right to it. Friday night means high school football in South Florida. You know that. Big matchup. Booker T. Washington, Miami Jackson at Traz-Pal. This was all Booker T. Boy, they've got a team. Second quarter, Tornadoes already up 19-0. Treon Harris hits Nicholas Norris from about 20 yards out, and the route was on. Later, Harris would find Crondis Larry, and Larry knows how to finish. He turns his catch and run into a 25-yard touchdown. Booker T. Washington rolls over Jackson big, 39-0. In Broward County, we got Miramar coming off a big win against St. Thomas Aquinas. Friday night, they matched up with a tough Boyd Anderson team, and the Cobras came away with a big strike. Quarterback Gregory Hankerson hits Eddie Jackson in the back of the end zone. Great concentration from Jackson. Even a bigger win for Boyd Anderson. They go on to take it 13-6.
Check out SouthFloridaHighSchoolFootball.com, where you will find recruiting overview powered by Larry Bluestein, review the weekly top 20, preview the top games in Dade and Broward County, catch up on Shaquille Jackson's blog and game recaps, nominate candidates for Player of the Year and for High School Teacher of the Year. Catch any of this season's TV shows you may have missed, plus a whole bunch more.
The South Florida High School Football Show is brought to you by Metro PCS, the U.S. Army, BP Gasoline, U18 Sports Medicine, Adidas, Sir Pizza, South Florida Chevy Dealers, Tico People's Gas, and Dave & Buster's.
A few years ago, I decided to push myself further. College, graduate school, degrees in aeronautics and engineering. And I learned that being my best means getting the best from everyone around me. Becoming an Army officer taught me to set high objectives and quickly rise to meet them. Kinda like a rocket.
An Army officer learns to reach new heights and inspires others to do the same. Can you? Find out at goarmy.com/officer.
They watch me all the time. And I think my mom found my stash of Sir Pizza boxes.
My parents are totally convinced that my ranch dressing habit is becoming a serious problem.
I told them I only eat squares and with only crumbled bits of pepperoni. They say that's how it all starts.
They just don't understand how good it is. A special blend of cheese, the sauce, the crunchiness, the dough.
But I can totally stop whenever I want.
It's not a problem. I'm in complete control.
.9 is a breakthrough. 6.9 is a physics lesson. 6.9 is the outer limits. 6.9 is an explosion. Uh-oh, he just got faster. 6.9 is ounces, and that makes this the lightest ever.
The recruiting segment is brought to you by Metro PCS, wireless for all.
Back on the South Florida High School Football Show, Joe Zagacki with former University of Miami center and Captain Don Bailey Jr. coming to you from Dave & Buster's in Hollywood, your eat, drink, and play destination for serious football action. We move into our recruiting segment now, and let's talk about the guys that you need. Hard to find. Let's talk about defensive linemen.
Joe, I think they're impossible to find, and I really mean the defensive tackles. You start there, and if you can find a marquee guy, a blue chip guy that can go and help you in college, you've hit the gold mine. But locally, there's been some outstanding defensive ends, and Olivier Vernon comes to mind. He's a guy that went out of American high school, went to the University of Miami and left after just 3 years, and now he's contributing with the Miami Dolphins. So that was a dream come true for UM, Olivier, and now the Miami Dolphins.
There's one guy that can find these nuggets.
Let me guess who.
That's Larry Bluestein, and there's only one way to find Larry Bluestein, and that is with our Huawei Activa Metro PCS, since this is our Metro PCS recruiting segment. Only way to find Blue is to dial him up on the cell phone. He's so busy. So let's see if we can get in contact with him. Old Blue, let's talk about those defensive linemen.
Well, Joe, Don, defense is the order, and we start up front, and I'm telling you, every year, and you guys know, every year we have tremendous defensive linemen, and this year is no exception. Let's start it off in Dade County. Stacy Thomas, the last 2 years from Gulliver Prep, everybody was watching him. Very quick defensive end, 6'3", 230 pounds, but he also plays wide receiver, which is neat, because, I mean, you have a guy that big, and you kind of like, wow, you can't wait for him to get back on the defense so he could do some damage. But watching him through a full game, you're amazed at how somebody that big is so agile. And he is agile. Now, the New Orleans Vikings last year won the state title in 5A. Now, they lost a lot of offensive players. We know Duke Johnson's one of them. But what about defense, and especially the defensive line? This is where the Vikings will dominate. First of all, they had a kid a couple years ago, Paul James. He left, went to Dr. Kropp. He comes back for his senior year, and already he is causing problems. This kid, when you get him in a game, he disrupts everything. I mean, he's quick. He's 6'4". He's 240 pounds. I mean, he's fast. He does a lot of good things. And he's not the only one on the line. They also have Akeem Barton. That is another one. I mean, he doesn't get the focal point. He doesn't get the hype and the D1 looks that maybe Paul James does. But Akeem Barton, if you watch him play, this is one of those guys, he never stops. His motor never stops. You got to love a guy like that. And certainly the coaches at Norland need to build around something, and this defensive line with Barton and James are going to be two of the good ones. Now we move into Broward County, and how can you start anywhere without the #1 player in South Florida, Joey Bosa? I mean, this is a big kid. His father, John, played Boston College, was a first-round draft pick of the Dolphins. Then he gets an opportunity to play here. The last 2 years, he's blown up. Committed to Ohio State, 6'5", 260 pounds. He's grown. He's going to be an end at this level, the next, and maybe the level beyond. He reminds me a lot about Howie Long's son, who's playing for the Rams. Just an agile, quick athlete. And the second guy is somebody, again, nobody really hears much about kids that play at Everglades, but Alvante Bell is one of those 6'5½", 240 pounders who is cat quick. He's strong. He's on his way to University of Kentucky. Everybody's going to be watching him. He is an SEC performer, no doubt. We said that last year when we saw him, and I mean, this kid does nothing but good things. And rounding out our defensive line is a kid that we've been watching since he was a sophomore, Monty Nelson from Plantation. Reminds me of the Warren Sapp type of guy that you put right in the middle and you can't move him. Wow. Athletes, you guys be the judge. You saw him. I'll tell you guys, defensive line in Dade and Broward, I don't think anywhere else in the country could stack up.
Thanks, Larry. Tico, People's Gas. Before you pick up the shovel, pick up the phone, call 811. Tico, People's Gas is awarding the Player of the Year award to one player in Miami-Dade and one player in Broward. To nominate a player, visit SouthFloridaHighSchoolFootball.com. Look for the Tico Vote Here icon. Nominations are open until November 30th. The players take home a beautiful crystal trophy, and the schools that vote the most receive a $500 donation. The winners will be announced during our National Signing Day TV show on February the 6th.
The Sports Medicine Timeout is brought to you by U18 Sports Medicine, your sports medicine provider for the young athlete.
The South Florida High School Football TV show continues now with our U18 Sports Medicine Timeout as we come to you from the Joe DiMaggio Children's Hospital here in Coral Springs at the U18 Sports Medicine facility. And joining us now is Dr. Jeremy Frank. And Doctor, what we're going to talk about here this week is hip injuries, and they are an important discussion, especially in youth injuries.
Absolutely. In football, in cheerleading, baseball, basketball, we see these injuries all the time. People will come in, they'll have a bruise or an injury in their hip, their groin may hurt them, and they'll present to the office trying to seek evaluation.
Now, we've seen these type of injuries in professional athletes like Sidney Rice or Chase Utley, who played for the Philadelphia Phillies.
Yeah, Alex Rodriguez even. They've all had injuries inside of their hip and groin that have actually required surgery, but most injuries to the hip and groin do not require surgery. They're either a hip flexor strain or a mild injury that can be treated with rest, ice, maybe some rehabilitation.
Take us through some of the procedures when a hip injury is diagnosed.
Usually we want to see them in the sports medicine office. We'll evaluate the patient. We may get x-rays. It may require an MRI. And based on the MRI findings, we'll determine if any surgery is necessary or just conservative treatment.
How long, once treatment starts, before a participant gets back into their sport?
It depends on the nature of the injury. Surgery could take upwards of 3 months. If it's just something conservative like a hip flexor strain, it could be 2 to 4 weeks.
Okay, Doc. Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
The Teacher of the Year Award is brought to you by the South Florida Chevy dealers. Chevy runs deep. The South Florida Chevy dealers will be recognizing outstanding educators and handing out $4,000 in donation. Help us by nominating a high school teacher for the 2012 South Florida Chevy Dealers High School Teacher of the Year Award. Chevy will award a crystal trophy to one teacher in each county, plus each teacher's school wins a $2,000 general donation. Visit SouthFloridaHighSchoolFootball.com to learn how to nominate a teacher for consideration. We are accepting nominations until January 16th. Winners will be announced February 6th. More of the South Florida High School Football Show after this.
The Chevy Cruze Echo also offers 42 mpg on the highway.
Actually, it's Cruze Eco, not Echo.
Just like either. Or either.
Or economical.
Or economical. Potato, potato, huh?
Actually, it's tomato, tomato.
Oh, that's right.
See your South Florida Chevy dealer. That's 42 miles per gallon highway on the fuel-efficient Chevy Cruze Eco. Come on in today and check it out for yourself.
Tico Peoples Gas presents Make the Call.
Hey, what's Bert digging up?
I don't know, planting a tree?
Did he call 811, before he started?
It doesn't sound like it.
Before you pick up the shovel, pick up the phone. Dial 811 and get your utility lines marked for free. Avoid the fines. Don't hit the lines. If you hit a utility line, you can interrupt your service and your neighbors too. Know exactly what you're digging yourself into. Call 811. Brought to you by Tico Peoples Gas.
Move to Metro and put your speed on with lightning fast 4G LTE. Unlimited, no data caps, now as low as $50 a month. That's one smart plan for stupid cheap. Only at Metro PCS. Wireless for all. Now, speed all you want for as low as $50 a month with Metro PCS 4G LTE. It's lightning fast with no data caps as low as $50 a month. Unlimited, unbeatable, and unheard of. Metro PCS. Wireless for all.
The Coach of the Week is brought to you by Adidas, All In.
Welcome back to the South Florida High School Football Show. Joe Zagacki with Don Bailey Jr. We're at Dave & Buster's, your eat, drink, and play destination for serious football action. We're in the middle of some serious action here at the Midway. Let's talk about our Coach of the Week. It's time now for our Adidas Coach of the Week. And Mark Guandolo has been coaching South Florida for a long time. Southridge, Chaminade, Cypress Bay, and he always has great perspective on what high school football is all about.
Well, Joe, listen, it's about fun, it's about family, Friday night football. He does a fantastic job of taking those student athletes and making sure that they're successful both on and off the football field. He could be Coach of the Year, it seems, almost every year, not just Coach of the Week. This is a guy that's committed his life to high school football, and he sets a plan in place to not only put a good football program on the field, but also field great student athletes.
Coach of the Week brought to you by Adidas, All In. Here's Brian Saul with Mark Guandolo.
All right, thanks, Joe and Don. We're here with this week's Adidas Coach of the Week, a familiar face, Cypress Bay's head coach, Mark Guandolo. Coach, already a crazy season. You've had tough district play throughout the course of the season. What's been your synopsis for Cypress Bay Lightning?
Well, we're still in progress of getting better. I mean, we're working hard. We're trying to get after it. You want to peak at the end of the year, so we haven't played our best ball yet, so that's what we're looking to do.
Coach, this offseason, you went away from, you've been coaching a long time, your offensive game plan, you spread it out a little bit more. What was that transition like? Was it difficult for you? Have you done it before? Was it something you saw coming?
We're still running the ball. We're just more in the eye than we are in the tee set, but yeah, it's been good. I did it for our personnel more than anything, and it's kind of invigorated me. I was doing the same thing for, 25, 28 years, so now chance for me to learn some new things, and I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, you mentioned your personnel. I mean, Matt Days, Geronta Lewis. How much of that was a factor of how talented those young men are as opposed to you just going against your philosophy?
Yeah, I mean, Matt's our guy. When he goes, we go. Geronta, he runs the show, and, we got Alex Montgomery, receiver. We got a lot of weapons, but, I think Matt, he sees the holes better, deepen them up a little bit. We want him to be successful.
Coach, talk about the defensive side of the ball. You're doing a lot of good things defensively now, too, and just talk about who your playmakers are on that side.
I mean, Coach Dutton does a great job, him and his staff. Nico Marley's our man. He's in the middle. When he goes, we go. He's our leading tackler. He calls all the defenses. He's our enthusiasm guy. So, we're expecting big things from him. And then we have a great defensive backfield. Marquise Dudley-Gordon at safety, Bose Joseph at corner, Dion Hallman at the other corner. Alex Montgomery's playing a strong safety. So those are some pretty good defensive backs. And, we got some young guys up front that are hoping that they start getting better and performing.
Coach, you've been in Cypress Bay for a while now. How's that change been for you? I mean, I know it feels like home for right now. Just overall, your synopsis of the program.
6 years now, 6 years. So, it's home. We got a great staff. We've been together for all 6 years. So that makes it good. So, players work hard. We got a great parental support. So it's been going well.
No, absolutely. And, Coach, I mean, you're deep into the playoffs year in and year out, so the players are definitely feeding off that intensity that you have.
Well, we're excited about the season and tonight.
Absolutely. Coach, thanks so much for joining us. Joe and Don, back to you guys.
Thanks, Brian. Time now for the Serve Pizza Play of the Week, sponsored by Serve Pizza, good to the very edge. Chaminade Madonna at University School. University School's quarterback, Michael White, with a dump pass to DJ Taylor. And he does the rest. 64 yards, a touchdown for the Suns, and their place in the Play of the Week.
Hi, I'm Laura Jormigis with this week's Army Bowl nominees, brought to you by the U.S. Army, Army Strong. This week we have two standouts from Christopher Columbus High in Miami. First up, the running back Lorenzo Woodley. Woodley stacks in at 6 feet, 210 pounds. In his junior year, he rushed for over 700 yards and averaged 8.3 yards per carry, including 11 touchdowns. Woodley is currently fielding offers from Cincinnati, FIU, FSU, and Indiana. Next up, wide receiver Jesus Wilson. Wilson measures in at 5'9", 165 pounds. He's a quick receiver and an overall great athlete. Wilson is committed to FSU over Oklahoma State and West Virginia.
The South Florida High School Football Show is also on Facebook and Twitter. Like us at SFHSFS and follow us at HSF Ball as soon as you can. You'll receive weekly updates from our insiders, news, announcements, and game day scoring updates from all over South Florida, plus deals and offers from our partners, including Serve Pizza, Sports Authority, Metro PCS, and many more. And we'll continue right after this.
At U18 Sports Medicine, our focus is on treating young athletes. Experienced pediatric orthopedic surgeons from Joe DiMaggio Children's Hospital Department of Orthopedic Surgery work with the U18 staff to help meet a variety of needs: X-rays, MRIs, physical therapy, and much more. Our leading-edge facilities located at Memorial Hospital Miramar and Coral Springs are open year-round. U18 can help young athletes stay off the sidelines and on the field. A program of Memorial Healthcare System and Joe DiMaggio Children's Hospital. Visit U18sportsmedicine.com.
It's Chevy Truck Month. Time to get in and grab a Silverado at your Chevy dealer where you'll get a great deal on the most dependable, longest-lasting, full-size pickups on the road. So gear up and get going. Get your hands on a legendary Silverado while the time is right. See your South Florida Chevy dealer. Now during Chevy Truck Month, get 0% APR financing for 60 months or trade up to get the 2012 Chevy Silverado Florida All-Star with a total value of $8,000. Hurry in before they're all gone.
The car on the left was filled up with low detergent gasoline.
car on the right is filled up with BP gasoline with Invigorate, which helps clean and protect its engine, so it can get a few more miles per tank than the car on the left. Go a little farther with BP gasoline with Invigorate.
You need flooring? We'll call Don Bailey Flooring today for the lowest prices on the planet Earth. Brand names like Mohawk, Karastan, and Armstrong from 40 to 70% off. Visit one of our 5 locations. Call Don Bailey Flooring today.
The keys to the game are brought to you by BP Gasoline with Invigorate, the preferred fuel of the South Florida High School Football Show.
Welcome back to the South Florida High School Football Show. Joe Zagacki with Don Bailey Jr. We're at Dave & Buster's in Hollywood, your eat, drink, and play destination for serious football action. And Don, we got some serious football action coming up. It's our simulcast, of course, on Sports Radio 560 WQAM, as well as our website, SouthFloridaHighSchoolFootball.com. It is Everglades and Miramar. It should be a good one with a preview. Here's Mike Levine.
Thanks, Joe and Don. Our game of the week this week, a district game between Everglades and Miramar at Miramar. Now, of course, we all remember that tough loss they had to Cypress Bay, those being the Patriots, and really trying to bounce back and have that authoritative win. Everglades, a team coming in really struggling, trying to make their mark, and it looks like they will miss the playoffs. Miramar, on the other hand, this is a game they have to have in order to keep their playoff hopes alive here at home. Joe, Don, back to you.
All right, Mike, thank you very much. Well, this is a battle in southwest Broward County. Miramar has a lot of confidence. A week ago, they beat St. Thomas in double overtime. Miramar is led by running back Alex Lee. He's carried them all season long.
Well, you have to understand, Joe, they're used to being in the playoffs. They're a team, Miramar, that's used to winning football games, and then you come off a confidence builder by beating St. Thomas. They've rekindled the start there at Miramar High School. I think that win will help propel them to having a much more successful season that they would have without that victory.
Everglades going to have to dig in on defense, as Alex Lee's averaging nearly 9 yards a carry.
That's too much to handle. When you think about the amount of yardage per carry and what that does, it always puts you behind the chains. And when, at this time of the year, when you have that high of an average coming out of a back, it's no fluke.
And the defense is coming on at the right time for the Patriots.
Oh, it certainly is, and they're doing a great job chasing the football. They're trying to get the takeaway working on their side of the game as well, and they're just going to have to continue to hustle and improve every single week.
All right, another hard-nosed game in Miami-Dade County. It's going to be Central taking on Carroll City. Carroll City's on their way to a very good season.
They are, Joe. It took Coach Barnwell a few years to get things rolling. He's got everybody buying into the Carroll City program. They're very explosive on offense. They're getting good quarterbacking, but they're sound. They're fundamentally sound in all 3 phases of the football game, and it's nice to see the success that they're having this year. We keep talking about it, and they just keep getting better and better and better.
You mentioned the quarterback, and Akeem Jones, a dual threat. He's going to put a lot of pressure on the defense.
He certainly does, and you love that. You see that a lot now in college football, and even in the pros, they used to not let the quarterback break the pocket. But Jones does a nice job. Whenever something breaks down in the passing game, he can rely on his feet. If he doesn't have it in his feet, he searches the secondary and usually comes up with a big play.
All right, well, Carroll City's coming off a tough game this past weekend against Naples. We'll see how much they have in the tank next week against Central. Some great high school football action all next week. Be sure to get out and see it, and join us next week on the South Florida High School Football Show right here on NBC6. For Don Bailey Jr., I'm Joe Zagacki. We'll see you next time, everybody.
The South Florida High School Football Show is brought to you by Metro PCS, the U.S. Army, BP Gasoline, U18 Sports Medicine, Adidas, Sir Pizza, South Florida Chevy Dealers, Tico People's Gas, and Dave & Buster's.
First of all, these guys over here already think they're going to win because they schedule you for their homecoming. You don't schedule somebody that you think you're going to lose to for your homecoming. So right there, they already disrespected you. So right now, you got to prove yourself. The way you guys came out here already, you weren't focused. So refocus yourself. Get back in this game because it's a playoff game tonight.